Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. So today I am going to be attempting to start and complete one of my last projects of the season before it gets cold enough to where I will not be very kind to going outside and working. And that's going to be to build a small floor for a tent that I'm going to put up where I'm going to store all of my fuel. So I'm going to try to keep my fuel stored in one location. Right now, I keep my fuel, just in case any of you ask what this pipe is, this pipe belongs to my septic field, and it's just a leach field check. So if there's ever a problem with a septic, what I'll do, or someone will do, is they'll throw a little rock down there or put a camera down there and see if the problem is at the leach field end or if it's at the actual tank end. So this right here is connected to my leach field. And if the leach field was backing up, you'd be able to tell by this pipe. That's what this pipe is there for. It needs to be cut down, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait through this winter and see about how high, the snow normally gets, to see how far I want to cut it down, because I'm going to end up putting a cap on it. But that's what that's for. And this here is where I've been keeping my fuel, my gasoline, that is. And I've got gasoline, I've got LP, I've got clear gas. And I even have a little bit of heating oil in some yellow cans. But this tent right here that I have is where I keep my snow blower and I keep my generator in the winter. And as you can see, there's a whole bunch of insulation. What I did was I encased the generator and the snow blower in there in the winter. That way, if it's ever like 30 or 40 degrees below zero and I need the snow blower, I can put a small heater in there, put all the insulation down and let it run for about 10 minutes, just enough to bring the temperature up enough to where I can start either the generator or the snowblower without damaging it. Okay, and obviously in the past when I've had to do that, I had to take all the gas cans out of there, put them out here, out of the way, so that there wouldn't be any chance of the gas cans catching on fire. So that's the reason why I'm building this other little tent, so I can have all my fuel over there, and then I can have this tent here just for my generator and for my snowblower. Now the reason the generator is in here is because you can see right here I have I believe this is a 50 gauge wire that's connected to my house, and if the power ever goes out, all I have to do is start my generator and of course do everything that I have to do in my panel inside my house first, in my breaker panel, and I'd be able to power the house with that generator. I've had this generator for more than 10 years now. It's never let me down once. So that is why I am building this floor. Now next year, after I fill this area in, all of this area here is going to be filled in and try to be leveled off a bit, or leveled off better than what it is now. So you can see, there's all my fuel cans over there for diesel or for heating fuel. As you can see, it's leveled out pretty good right now, but I'm going to level it out a little bit more. That's why I want to keep this off the ground, about roughly a foot off the ground. That way I can actually level it up to the top or right below where the floor ends on this. So I'm going to level it out a little bit more next year. And then once I do that, I'll probably build a little floor on here just like that. And then either build a small wood shed to keep that in so it can be insulated properly, or just do the same thing that I'm doing now. But right now, what I'm doing is I'm going to build an 8x8 wood floor. And what I decided to do was to use these concrete pillars along with the brackets and some 4x4 studs that I can use to hold up my joists, right? And then I'm going to wrap the joists on each side, and then I'm going to put some treated 3/4 inch plywood on top of it. But first thing we have to do, ladies and gentlemen, is first we have to space these out, make sure that they're level on both sides. On this side, parallel to each other on both sides. So on that end and that end, and then on this end and that end. And then also we have to make sure we find square. We have to make sure that each of our corners are at 90 degrees. Now there's a simple way of doing this, and that is just to put everything down, level everything out, and then measure from one corner to the other, and then your measurements should match. Whatever you get from this to that side should match whatever you get from this side to this side. That means you've got a square structure. Another way you can do it is you can span this out, put your joist on it and span them out evenly, and then it should, you know, be pretty square that way. But I think I'm going to do it from the beginning instead of putting my joist on first and then trying to square, because if you put your joist on, you have to make sure that they're perfectly on there. And I'm working by myself today, so I'm going to try to square it on my own just by moving these around. And then when they're square, I'll come back and I'll show you guys what it looks like with the joist half on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got this squared off. Now this actually took me a little bit of time because, especially when you're by yourself, it takes a little bit longer to get a good square. So what a good square means, ladies and gentlemen, is that the distance from this edge right here to the opposite edge on that other 4x4 is going to be the same distance as from this edge to the opposite edge in that corner, right? When you think about it, it's just, if you know what the Pythagorean theorem is, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? That assures that you have a 90-degree angle right here, right? So really the distance that you're trying to figure out when you're squaring something is the, I believe it's called the hypotenuse, the side opposite of the right angle. So if you figure out what distance that is by just doing a simple calculation, you will be able to ensure that you have square corners. And I just finished doing that. Now, I made sure everything was level. However, being that this is going to be outside and snow is going to fall on it, I wanted to make sure that if some water got inside of it, that it would go down that way. So I put a very slight angle. You see that? The bubble is a little bit on this side, and it's like that everywhere. So it's like that on this side, and it's also like that on this side. If you guys can see that, the bubble's a little bit more to this side. That way, if water gets in here, it'll just go down this way. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go and get some, I'm going to do all of this with screws, because I want to make sure that if I have to tear this apart, that I can, that if I have to move it, that I can. So I'm doing all of this with screws. So now I'm going to go ahead and get some screws, and I'm going to go ahead and screw this together, screw these brackets on, that way we don't lose our square when we're putting the floor joists on. All right, so then I'll come back when I show you, I'll come back when I have the floor joists halfway up, and then I'll show you how I'm doing it with the screws, putting it up all the way. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so I am ready to start putting my beams on, and I just wanted to show you something really quick. So these 4x4s right here, they're 8 feet and 1/2 inch long. These 2x6s are 92 5/8 inches long. So what I'm going to do is, since my two 4x8 feet plywood is going to be exactly 8 feet wide by 8 feet wide when I put them together, all right, I'm going to go ahead and offset these 2x6s by about 1 3/4 inch on each end, and allow the floor, the plywood, to overhang them by about 1 3/4 inch, which is not going to do anything to the structurability. It's still going to be just as strong. And same thing in the front. I'm going to allow this 2x6 to hang off of this about 3 inches this way. Okay, 3 inches to the front, and then the rest will hang off the back. Okay, the rest will hang off the back, and that will allow the plywood flooring to hang off probably about 6 inches off the back, which is not a problem either. I'm not putting a lot of weight in this structure, and that's going to be plenty strong to hold the fuel and whatever little tools I may put in here, put them in. And why did I do that? Because these 2x6s that are 92 5/8 inch, they're about half as much as the 2x6s that are 8 feet long. So you're paying almost twice as much for an additional 4 inches, roughly 3.5 inches or so of lumber. So that's why I decided to do that. It's not going to do anything as far as the structurability goes, and it saved me probably about $40 or so in additional lumber costs. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and line my first one up about 1.75 inches from the edge of this. I'm going to line it up right here. Then I went ahead and marked myself some 2 feet off center. Okay, 2 feet off center, 2 feet off center. But what I'm going to do is when I get to this one right here, I'm going to go ahead and put a plywood on and make sure that it lines up perfectly with this. That way we can have enough wood on each side to be able to put the plywood in the middle. All right, because in the middle there's going to be a crease, right, of plywood. Whichever way you put it, whether I put it long ways or sideways, there's going to be a crease in the middle. All right, so I'm going to make sure that I line it up with the plywood first to make sure that I have it perfect, so that each piece of plywood would get at least 3/4 inches of this 2x6. I call it 3/4 inches of meat, right? So that's what we're going to do next. So now I'm going to go ahead and put on my first, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and put on my first 2x6. And like I said, well, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I decided to go ahead and go with nails instead. So I'm going to go ahead and put these up with nails. So all I have to do is just line this up to this end right here. And I'm going to go ahead and put these nails on. So I got these nice sturdy nails. I'm going to go ahead and put these on. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to use a nail this big, all right? I am going to go with screws. I got screws. I just thought I'd give you guys a little laugh. All right, so I'll be right back and I'll go ahead and start screwing these in. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the screws that I am using are like deck screws, all right? And like I said, the reason I'm using screws is because I want to be able to take this apart if I have to. Now, something I forgot to mention. For those of you out there that are professional builders and carpenters, remember, this is a deck for a tent floor, all right? Where I'm going to keep some gas cans and cylinders, right? It's not meant to be a professional thing. I am not a professional by any means, all right? So what I'm doing is I'm going to put 2 nails on this side, on each end. I'm going to make sure it's lined up good. And then I'm going to put one on the other side, but around the middle right here. All right, as you can see, that's pretty sturdy right there. Okay. Next thing I'll do is I'm going to grab this square, triangle, whatever you want to call it. Make sure it's nice and it is good. All right, so I've got a good fit there, and now I'm going to go and I'm going to start doing my every other foot. I'll bring you guys back when I got these down. Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, so this is what we've got done so far. Let me see if I can give you guys a good view. So we've got all our beams up. I went ahead and wrapped each side of the I-beams with a piece of 2x6 right here. And I also went ahead and did a little additional securing of the I-beams to the beams, whatever you want to call them, to the 4x4 with some metal plumber's tape. Now, all we have to do is go ahead and put our floor on there, screw it down, and we should be pretty much good to go as far as being able to put the tent up here. I am kind of beat right now, so I'm going to go inside have some lunch, and take a break for about an hour. And we'll come back out here and wrap it up. So I am back from my break. I went and had some lunch. Now I'm back, ready to finish this. So what I'm going to do as an additional step to secure this to the actual ground is I already did one. I'm driving down some of these, I don't know what they're called. They're called anchors, or there's some kind of anchors. But what they are is you screw these down into the ground, and then I'm going to secure these 4x4s to the ground using those anchors. Right? So when I'm done screwing them in, I'll show you guys how I'm going to secure them. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so here's my very simple solution to anchor the 4x4s down to the ground. Now, this isn't meant to anchor it down against like hurricane winds or anything like that. It's just meant to anchor it down enough to where if something gets banged into it, you know, like maybe a wheelbarrow or my snowmobile or something like that, that it won't shift the floor. Okay, so what I did was I just took a ratchet and ratcheted it down a little bit taut, but not super tight. And what will happen is, especially in the wintertime, when this ground gets really frozen, it will anchor it down really, really well. And then next year, all I'll have to do is just go in here, put my foot in there, tap this down, and maybe backfill it with a little bit of dirt to keep tapping it down until it's settled in there, and it should stay pretty strong. Now we are going to put our floor on, and after that, we're going to put our tent on. So let's get to our next step. So what I'm doing now, ladies and gentlemen, is I am putting on the actual floor. And the way I'm going to try to keep my line straight as far as screwing it down is, I went ahead and placed the screw on this end of the board. And it's about halfway up, or about 3/4 of the way down. And then I placed another one. Sorry about that plane. I placed another one on the other end, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to snap a line. You guys can see I'm going to snap a line. Putting it there. And now what that line will do is it'll keep me right on the stud that's under that wood, and I don't have to guess where it is or take several measurements as I'm going down. And I'll do that for all of the joists except for the middle joist, because we know exactly where that is. See that? That's what I mean, for those of you that aren't familiar with building things, when I say that if there's enough meat for the 4x8 plywood to get secured onto a joist, that's what I mean. You want to have at least half of it secured to a joist. That way when you put your other one, it'll go right here next to it with the tiniest of a gap that I'll fill in with silicone to give it room to expand and contract. All right, that way the floor won't bow up. But now I'm going to go ahead and go down the line so I can give you guys a good picture there. I'll go down the line so that I can get these screws in, and then I'll go ahead and snap a line for the rest of them and carry on. I should be done here pretty shortly. Now, just in case some of you may ask, I try to answer questions as I think about them, you know, in case someone may ask, why did I buy so many screws? So something that I've been doing since I started building is every time that I have to go buy something, I try to get more than what I need, with the exception of lumber. With lumber, I try to get exactly what I need and maybe an additional 1 or 2 boards just in case I mess one up. Because lumber is pretty difficult to store, right? And to keep good throughout the seasons or throughout the winter here, unless you store it really well and wrap it. But like, for example, these screws, I'll probably only use about 10% of the screws that came in that box. But every time that I buy screws or nails, because I need it for a project, I buy more than what I need, and then I just put them away. And throughout the years that I've been doing this, I probably have enough screws and nails to build a small one-level home. I probably have enough, including plumber's tape and things like that. So if I were out to go and get enough lumber to build, let's say like a 1,000 square foot home, I probably have enough nails right now to do that. All right, so that's why I like to get extra screws and nails every time that I go and buy some for whatever project I might be working on. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am done for today. And this is what it looks like. I don't want to say that it's completely finished because I do have plans on adding some things to this. I think I'm going to leave it as a tent because these tents are pretty good at holding a snow load as long as you keep it clean pretty good throughout the winter. It'll hold up to a couple of feet with no problem. And I don't want to build a structure on here because I don't want to get taxed on it. So let me go ahead and show you how I secured the tent. So what I did was I secured the tent onto the floor with those bolts. All right, those are lag bolts, and I put one on each corner. And then I just tightened everything down so everything is nice and secure. I decided to put the tent, since the tent is only 6 by 6, it's only 6 feet wide by 6 feet long. I decided to put one side on the edge right here instead of centering it, so that on this edge right here, I can maybe build me a shelf where I can put some tools, maybe hang up some tools. So I can maybe build me an enclosed shelf where I can hang up some tools instead of my tools getting all beat up from the weather. And I plan on, I'm not sure if it'll be this year, I'm not sure if it's another project that I would like to do, but it shouldn't take that long if I decide to. I would like to build some shelves that go about halfway up. That way I can put gas cans on the shelf as well as on the floor, so that I can use this entire side for nothing but my cylinders. I have 4 100-pound cylinders, the long ones, the tall ones, and then I have another 3 small ones that I have to bring in here. So if I put shelves on this side and the back, I'll be able to put gas or fuel on top of those shelves, and then I'll be able to put some on the floor. It'll double my capacity of what I can put in here. So that's what it's looking like, ladies and gentlemen. I'll tell you what, this doesn't seem like it's a pretty big project, but when you're on your own, it's got me beat. So I am pretty beat today. So I got to go inside and finish making Sunday's video. This is actually not Sunday's video. Obviously, you'll see that. So I got to go inside and finish making Sunday's video, but I am done for today. I am very glad that I got this done in one day. So looking good. We'll talk to you later on. Hey, thanks a lot for joining in, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really don't do a lot of videos of me doing things like this because I think there's so many channels out there that do that kind of stuff. But I thought it'd be fun to, bring you guys along on one of my little projects. And I hope you enjoyed it. All right, if you do, remember to give it a thumbs up and share. And thank you very much for joining, and I truly do appreciate it. Thank you very much, my VIPs, for always being here when I put out a video. I got an awesome email today. One of our community members was so very nice. She emailed me and said, I was wondering if you're okay because I noticed you haven't put up a video in a few days. And we usually get a video from you every day or every other day. So I just wanted to make sure you're all right. And thank you so much. That stuff is what makes me happy doing this stuff. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You guys are awesome. All right, so having said that, remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place. And you know that it will be a better place. And ladies and gentlemen, I forgot to show you, but today is a beautiful day. Look at those leaves. They are starting to fall. It's a beautiful day, though. I thank God that He gave me such a nice day to be able to do this project. Many blessings to all of you and your families. This is Alaska Prepper, and I am out.